Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 543 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me. It is so fun to connect with you guys twice a week, even if it's just for 10 minutes at a time. I am better for having you in my life, so thank you for being here. All right. How often do you guys think bad thoughts about someone you really like? Or maybe even someone you really love? It's okay, no judging here, because we all do it to a degree. But it's the degree in which we do it that we need to have a quick chat about. I mean, we know thoughts are going to come up. But if they're not helping, then dwelling on them just makes everything worse. I was talking with a friend of mine recently. They own a house that is right next to their own house. And so they have renters in there. And they're a lovely family that's renting, and they take great care of the house. But they're really particular. And so there's been several things that they're having to address. And she told me that even though she really likes them, she's working hard to not get irritated by them or maybe dread seeing or talking to them because she keeps having these thoughts of how high maintenance they are, even though they do take care of the house and they pay rent on time every month. Who hasn't had that situation where somebody that you like does something that you don't like? And now you get to decide if it's going to become a problem or not. You get to decide if you're going to focus on the things that bother you about them or not. And sometimes it's people that are really close to us, like our husband or our sisters or our parents. My husband has recently been flying overseas a lot, so when he comes home, he's tired. Obviously, he would be. And sometimes when he's tired, he's really grumpy. And there have been times where I've caught myself thinking, oh, he's just so grumpy and I'm just so irritated at him right now. But if I keep thinking those thoughts, it's going to really affect how I treat him. So why in the world would I want to keep thinking those thoughts? See, it's human nature for us to have thoughts about other people, and some of which are not great. But continuing to think about the thought and dwell on the negative thoughts about other people, it's a big reason why we have problems in relationships. I am certain that I do things that get on Eric's nerves, and he probably has the same thoughts about me. But if that's all either one of us does is focus on that regularly, our relationships would really suffer. So it's not abnormal to have thoughts about other people when they get on your nerves, or maybe that you're mad about them, or that what they did was not what you wanted them to do. But left on autopilot, those thoughts can snowball. And now you're treating that person differently, maybe avoiding them, maybe picking fights with them. My friend with her renters would possibly create friction where there doesn't need to be. And if I get focused on my husband being cranky because he's tired, now I'm going to be cranky. And now we have a full-blown problem. That's why it's so good to pay attention to the thoughts that we have about other people. It's normal to have them, but it's problematic when we dwell on them. That's why it's helpful when someone reminds you to be aware of your thoughts, like I usually do twice a week. It helps remind me too. But it's also helpful when someone points out that, hey, you may be the problem here. When Eric came home and he was a little bit tired and grumpy, the next morning I was at the gym working out with Kevin, my trainer, who usually sets me straight on things. And he did this time as well. He could generally read my mood fairly easily. So today was no different. So when I walked in, he could tell something was up and he was like, all right, let's hear it. What's going on? And I said, oh, it's just that Eric has been a little cranky. And he works out with Kevin as well, so they know each other too. And he looked at me and he goes, that man has been flying all night, all week. He's tired. Don't you think he deserves a little grace? Kevin calling me out made me realize that my poor husband is just tired, and I do need to give him grace. See, I was making it worse by dwelling on it. So I checked myself right there, and it wasn't a problem from then on. This is just a side note, to be careful who you complain to. Because if you complain to someone wise, that's great. But sometimes we complain to the wrong person. That person is like, yeah, he shouldn't be treating you like that. And now we're in a full-blown complaint about Eric's session. So how do you think that's going to make me treat him when I get home? Be careful about who you complain to. Most of us don't want to wake up in the morning. We don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I think I'm going to pick a fight today. Most of us want to live our lives happily and without drama. And it's definitely possible for all of us. We just have to decide. We have to decide that in our head, because most of the relationships we ruin in our mind first. Remember that the next time you're having a negative thought about someone. Remember that matters. And how you treat them. It matters. What your thoughts are is how you're going to treat them. And if you keep having those negative thoughts, it's going to snowball. And it's going to eventually ruin the actual relationship if it keeps up. A good rule of thumb is when you have a thought about another person that isn't great, ask yourself, is this thought helping my relationship? But if you want to take it a step further, another good question is to ask, is this a deal killer for me? So is it something that I can overlook, or is it something that's a deal killer in a way that, I don't think I want to be friends with that person any longer, or that behavior is not something that I'm willing to tolerate? That's something you have to decide. But if the answer to both of those questions are no, then you have to ask yourself why you keep thinking it. Why do you keep thinking that if it makes you feel bad and it makes you dislike or distrust someone else when it's not a deal killer? So is my friend going to fire her renters because they're high maintenance? No, she's not, because they take care of the house and they pay on time and she actually likes them. But her dwelling on the negative aspects of that professional relationship makes no sense, because she's simply creating drama in her own head for no reason. Is my husband being cranky every once in a while because he's been working all night? Is that a deal killer for me? Absolutely not. So thinking any of those negative thoughts about him makes no sense either. My challenge to you is the next time you have a negative thought about someone you love, or maybe even someone you dislike, basically someone you want to keep around, ask yourself, is this a deal killer for me? Do I want this relationship to end because of this thing they did or this thing they said? If the answer is no, then continuing to dwell on that thought is ruining the relationship in your head, which will eventually cause you to act in a way that may actually ruin the actual relationship, even if it's subconscious. And if that's not what you ultimately want, then why keep thinking it? It's human to have a negative thought. We aren't robots, right? But it's freeing to catch them, question them, and let them go. If it's not worth ending things over, giving yourself permission to move on is the best thing you can do. Share this with 3 people who live with grace. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.